Welcome to Adventurin 101. I'm Uncle Cletus. I fought and killed damn near everything across the 9 realms, and it's my job to keep you alive. Today, we're talking about party composition. Now, a well-composed party is a party that can handle just about anything, and that's because its members are well-rounded enough to handle every situation. Now, quick wizard, what is your party missing?
Oh, definitely a frontliner. I didn't like being the bait for that mimic we fought. It was pretty funny for me, though.
Now, you boys got lucky, because you're also missing someone who can keep you alive if the worst happens.
I wouldn't have let him die. Aw, you do care.
Sure, but a cleric you ain't, boy. Now, there are a bunch of different ways to compose a party, but honestly, there are 2 that stand above the rest. The HRMS system, devised by my friend and close ally Silas Longleaf, and my patented time system. Now, don't go telling Silas, but I think mine is better.
Wouldn't it be better to only learn the best method?
No, Akara. You should learn as much information as possible, boy. That way you have more information to make better decisions with. Now, each system has its strengths and weaknesses, and depending on the quest you're on, you might want to use one or the other. So let's start with the HRMS system. It stands for healers, ranged, martials, and sneaky.
Is that in order of importance?
No, there's no particular order of importance because all of the parts are equally important. We just called it HRMS because that was the best acronym we could make with these letters.
I do appreciate a good acronym.
Honestly, I'm just surprised at how civilized these acronyms are. I mean, it was piss and tits from the start.
Wait, what?
Well, to be fair, he also came up with the MTL system, and that isn't vulgar either. True.
What do you mean, piss and tits?
We'll fill you in later. It's a mimic and potion identification system, respectively.
Healers are the most important part of every party according to Silas Longleaf, which is why they are first in the acronym.
Wait a second, you just said that healers, ranged, martials, and sneaky are all of equal importance.
All the roles are equally important, but back in the day, too many parties were forgetting about healers, or they were trying to pay them a lesser share of the loot. So we put them first and foremost in the acronym so that everyone understands how truly important they really are and gives them the respect they deserve. Now, a healer's role is self-explanatory. They heal people. But unless you have a party of 6 or more, you're gonna want someone who can do a bit of hitting and a bit of healing.
Like Mistress Daphne at the Painted Peach.
Aw, Daphne. Anyway, the next letter in the system is R, which stands for ranged. And the point here is that you have someone in your party who can do damage to enemies that are far away.
We've got that covered with my spells. And my bow.
And my axe!
Boy, you don't have an axe. You don't even have a class yet. Now, the next letter in Silas's HRMS system is M, which stands for martials. And every party needs a marshal whose job it is to get in there and engage the enemy. That gives your rangers and your healers more freedom to do their jobs and keep the marshals alive.
Or so that they can be the ones doing the stabbing when Nox finds a mimic. You're really not going to let that go, are you?
I almost lost my face, and I love my face. Now, when you think the local lord is corrupt, you need someone who's willing and able to get into their mana and either find or plant some evidence of their corruption. And then they gotta get out of there undetected, which is why the last letter in the HRMS system stands for sneaky.
Like that time the Knacklemernings had to steal back our cookie recipe from the Keeblers next door. We could have used a sneaky that day. Would have saved a lot on cleaning.
Exactly. Now you're thinking like an adventurer. Now, if you follow this system, you'll have enough skills and abilities between all your party members to account for almost anything that an adventure can throw at you.
So where does each class fall in the HRMS system?
Ultimately, this system allows for a lot of versatility because it takes into account all of the possible subclasses you can be. But generally, druids, clerics, and monks fall under the healers category. Rangers, wizards, warlocks, and sorcerers fall under the ranged category. And fighters, paladins, and barbarians fall into your martial category, while your sneaky category is reserved for rogues. But these are not hard and fast rules, because most of the classes have a subclass or 2 that can let them pull double duty.
Like a paladin with his lay on hands ability. He could be a martial and a healer. Or a ranger being a sneaky if they decide to subclass as a gloomstalker.
But where is the music man?
Good point, Frog. Where do bards fit in all of this?
Good catch, Frog. Roan. Now, bards are particularly versatile because depending on the college that they choose, they can be in any one of these categories. Because they can heal others, they can deal damage at ranged with their instruments, they can get in there and stab a guy, and they can also, on occasion, be sneaky.
Can you sing or play an instrument, Frog? Maybe you'd like to be a bard.
No, Knacklemernings are particularly tone deaf, and we have terrible rhythm. But I would be willing to overcome these shortcomings.
Shortcomings. Bitch. Now, when you're trying to join a new party, the HRMS system is a great system to use to determine if you would be a good fit for that party. But the downside of this system is that you need at least 4 members in a party. You need someone for each of the roles, and you may not double up on roles until you've got someone for each role. Which is why I created my patented time system. Now, adventurers these days want to try to avoid combat by talking, and I think that's dumb. Adventuring is about blood, sweat, tears, sometimes decapitation, and my favorite, defenestration, which is why I designed the time system to account for such scenarios.
You designed the system around being thrown out of a window?
Well, usually I'm the one doing the throwing. But yes.
Is this class really necessary?
Only if you want to survive being an adventurer. Now listen. Now the time system stands for tanks, improvisers, mages, and emergency. And it's designed to function like a football team.
Do you mean soccer?
What is this, America? The other realms call it football, and that's what we're gonna call it.
What is America?
Someplace you don't want to go. Now let's refocus. Now T stands for tanks, and tanks are your heavy hitters. Like forwards in football, their job is to be as aggressive and offensive as possible. They also need to take damage and keep the attention of the enemy, so that way the rest of the party can get in a sneak attack or throw out a fireball.
Aw yeah,
Fireball. Boy. Anyway, what tanks usually forget is that they also need to soak up enemy resources.
What do you mean?
Well, a tank can take the dodge action and then run through a group of enemies, causing them to use opportunity attacks, which eats up their reactions. And this lets the other party members move freely or cast spells without fear of being counterspelled or taking damage from opportunity attacks.
I see. So if I attack an enemy tank while he runs past me, I won't have a reaction to use for uncanny dodge in case of a fireball spell. That's devious.
Precisely. Now, unlike the HRMS system, which has a bunch of versatility, the time system really locks certain classes into certain roles. And there are only 3 tank classes that you can be. You can be a fighter, a barbarian, or a paladin. Now, the best offense is a good defense, but the best defense is actually also a good offense, which is where the improvisers come in. Because an improviser, like a midfielder in football, they need to be able to switch between offense and defense depending on the flow of battle.
So which classes are improvisers?
Bards, clerics, rangers, and rogues, druids, and monks are all improvisers because they can all heal people, deal a bit of damage, and, most importantly, they can move about the battlefield real quick-like.
I can't heal though.
True, you can't heal, but you can carry potions. And with your bonus action disengage and dash, you can move about the battlefield with a quickness and administer those potions wherever they are needed, thus also playing the role of emergency. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
So that leaves the mages. Does that mean I'm supposed to be in the back?
Exactly. Pure mages, wizards, warlocks, and sorcerers should always be at the back. And because of that, they function a lot like defensive lines in football. Now, a mage's job is to control the field of battle, not just throw fireballs.
But I like throwing fireballs.
I know that. Nox knows that. Everyone knows you love fireballs. But why don't you try creating an illusion for once and distract the enemy with that? Or make the ground into difficult terrain so the enemy can't move around. Or better yet, why don't you create a wall of fire or a wall of stone and split the battlefield in twain? So that way you take some pressure off your tanks and they can kill the enemy faster.
You mean make reality bend to my will?
Yes, and once you've thoroughly annoyed your enemy and you have broken their spirit, then, and only then, do you cast Fireball. Yeah.
I'm not sure I like where this is going.
As long as he doesn't blow us up, we'll be fine, right?
Fireball.
When you've gotten too big for your britches and you've written a check your butt can't cash, who's gonna stand between you and Kellenball?
I'd hope one of my party members.
Boy, that was rhetorical. a Kara. Now this brings me to the last role in my time system, the emergency. Now anyone can be an emergency, but not everyone should be an emergency. And if we're going back to our football example, the emergency is the goalie, whose job is to keep your enemies from scoring.
That sounds important and like a lot of pressure.
It certainly can be. This role is not dedicated to any particular class, and instead is usually reserved for the person the party trusts the most.
So, not me then. Or Frog could become a paladin and keep us alive with lay on hands and spare the dying.
Now that's a bad idea. Your paladin should be engaging the enemy and making full use of their divine smites. You don't want them all distracted by trying to keep everyone else alive. Let them use their lay on hands ability after the battle.
So you're saying that the improvisers or the mages should be the emergencies.
Correct. Someone who can move around quickly or throw a potion accurately or cast a healing spell is absolutely perfect for the role of emergency.
Well, I guess I could take a level or two of cleric. I just can't see you walking into a church and pledging yourself to some god. I know I certainly wouldn't. Just because you're afraid of nuns doesn't mean I am. If I need to take a couple of levels of cleric, so be it.
You're afraid of nuns? But they're so friendly.
Of course I'm not afraid of nuns. What a ridiculous notion.
So how do you explain that you hide from them every time we're out and about?
I do not hide from them.
Feelings about the cloth aside, the time system can work with 3 party members, as long as either the improviser or the mage agrees to be the emergency. And if you add a 4th or a 5th party member, you open up the door for a lot more combat and defenestration options.
So Uncle Cletus, is there an ideal party composition for the time system?
Not really, but I prefer a party of 5 where there are 2 tanks. After that, I do not care whether I have 2 improvisers or 2 mages. But if I get a choice on emergencies, I want a Tabaxi monk, because them boys can move, and there ain't nothing like getting punched back to life.
I'd like to do some punching.
Sure, but we need to cover the classes first, and then you can decide whether or not you're punching or slicing. Would you look at the time? This class has gone on long enough. Now y'all need to get out of here and go get acquainted at some tavern or something. Have a drink for me. Tomorrow we'll be talking about barbarians, so be prepared. Now get out.